Hello students, myself P.B. Shugan from Division College Chikun of Biology Department. Students, today you are going to study third chapter of Biology, 12th Science, that is inheritance and variation. Let us see the definition of inheritance. Transmission of genetic information from one generation to the next generation, that is from parents to the offsprings, is known as inheritance or the heredity. The mechanism of inheritance was successfully investigated before chromosome had been observed. Now to see the second most important part of this chapter, that is variation. Variations are the differences between the parents and the offsprings, or among the offsprings of the same parents, or among the offsprings of the same species. Now this variation plays an important role in the evolution of new species. Let us see the genetic definition of the genetics. Genetics, it is a branch of biology which deals with the study of heredity and the variation. Now this term genetic was first time coined by scientist William Batson in 1906. The term genetic is derived from Greek language, that is genesis, the word genesis meaning to grow into. The scientific explanation regarding the inheritance was given by Gregor John Mendel in 1866. John Mendel was born on 22nd July 1822 in a very poor family of Austria country. After his graduation, he joined the Augustinian monastery as a priest. In 1856, he began his famous work of hybridization in garden tree plant, that is Pisum sativum. He published his work of hybridization under the title of the paper, that is Experiments in Plants Hybridization, in a research journal. Unfortunately, his work remained unnoticed. In the starting of 20th century, his work was rediscovered by three different scientists. First one was the Hugo de Vries from the Holland. Second one is the Carl Koren from the Germany, and the third one is Chemark from the Austria. Now, Hugo de Vries found a research paper of the Mendel, and he published paper of Mendel in a journal, that is Flora, in 1901. During these days, mitosis and meiosis were discovered. Koren postulated three laws of Mendel. Now, these laws are popularly known as Mendelian law of inheritance, or the Mendel's law of inheritance. Let us see the hybridization work of the Mendel. In hybridization work, Mendel selected garden pea plant, that is Pisum sativum. Scientific name of the garden pea plant is a Pisum sativum plant. Commonly, it is known as a garden pea plant or a green pea. For in this garden pea plant, Mendel selected seven different characters of the garden pea plant. Let us see the next slide. Yes. Okay, now you can see Mendel selected seven different characters of the garden pea plant. Let us see first character, that is the seed shape. Second one is seed color, pod shape, flower color, then the flower location and the plant height. These are seven different characters. These characters were selected by Mendel. Now these seven characters include uh, seven pairs of traits. So this first character includes these two traits. Out of these two traits, one trait, first one is dominant trait and the second one is a recessive trait. As far as seed shape is concerned, so first trait is round shaped seeds. So this trait is dominant over the recessive, that is wrinkled. Let us see second character selected by Mendel, that was the seed color, and the dominant color of the seed was yellow color, and the recessive color is green color. Now just move towards this third one, that is the pod shape. This one Dominant one is inflated and the recessive one is constricted. Let us see the fourth character selected by Mendel, that is pod color of the pod, that is green color. This green color is dominant over the recessive one, that is the yellow colored pod. Let us see next one, that is the flower color. So purple color is dominant over the white color. So purple is dominant and the white one is a recessive one. Now just see the exact location of the flower or the flower location. So exile position is a dominant and the terminal position is recessive one. Now just see the last and the seventh character, that is the plant height, and there were two plants selected, uh, two traits selected by Mendel. First one was the tall plant and the second one was the dwarf. So out of these two traits, tall trait is dominant and this dwarf is recessive one. So in this way, Mendel selected these seven characters, and these seven characters include seven pairs of contrasting traits. Let us move towards the why Mendel selected garden pea plant for his hybridization experiments. So the first characteristic feature of the garden pea plant, this garden pea plant is an annual plant, and this garden pea plant completes its life cycle uh, within 3 to 4 months. So he could grow this particular garden pea plant 3 to 4 times in a year. Now just see second feature of the garden pea plant, that was the garden pea plant is herbaceous and this herbaceous plant produces many seeds. So again Mendel could grow this particular garden pea plant 3 to 4 times in a year. Now the one more feature is there of the garden pea plant, that is the garden pea plant is a naturally self-pollinating plant and it is available in variety with the contrasting characters such as the tall and the dwarf. There is no intermediate character. The most important thing is that there is no intermediate character. In this case, you can see there is no intermediate character between these two. Okay, between these two traits. This is round is dominant and the wrinkled is recessive. There is no intermediate between these two traits. So there were no intermediate characters or the traits in the garden pea plant. Let us see the terminology which are very important as far as genetic study is concerned. Without knowing these terminology, it's not possible to study the further part of the inheritance and the variation of this chapter. Now just see the first terminology, that is the character. So character, it is a feature of an organism. Uh, for example, height of stain. Character means it is a feature of organism. It is a feature of an organism. For example, height of stain. Okay, so this is character. You can see second character, that is the seed color, pod color, then the pod shape, then the flower color, then the flower location, and the plant height. These are different characters. Let us see the second terminology, that is the trait. It is an inherited character. Its detectable variants, that is the tall or the tallness or the darkness. Let us see one more thing, that is the factor. So it is a unit of heredity, a particle present in a organism which is responsible for the inheritance and the expressions of the characters from the one generation to the next generation, that is from the parents to the offsprings. So this thing was first time discovered by the Mendel in case of garden pea plant. One more term is there, that is gene. It is a segment of DNA which is responsible for the inheritance and expression of the character from one generation to the next generation. Okay, that is gene. It is a segment, it is a specific piece of DNA which is responsible for inheritance and the expression of character from one generation to the next generation, that is from the parents to the offspring. Let us move towards the one more terminology, that is alleles or the allelomorph. Two or more alternative forms of a gene is called as allele or the allelomorph. So this is most important. terminology that we will study later on while studying the monohybrid and the dihybrid. Now just move towards the one more terminology, that is dominant. It is an allele that expresses its trait even in presence of alternative allele. Let us see example monohybrid cross. Yes, in this cross you can see dominant. It is an allele. It is an allele. It is an allele which expresses its trait in presence of alternative allele. Now you can see this allele, that is dominant T, expresses its trait in presence of, even in presence of a alternative allele. Okay, so this T, dominant T, is dominant, capital T, that is dominant over this recessive T. So the definition of the dominant is it is an allele that expresses its trait even in presence of alternative allele, that is in the heterozygous condition. Now you can see this heterozygous condition. This is the heterozygous condition. Okay, so this T is dominant over this one, and this expresses its trait in the F1 generation. This is F1 generation, or the first filial generation. So this is called as a dominant. Now just move towards the one more thing, that is the recessive. As I said earlier, dominant, this dominant T or the dominant allele expresses its trait in F1 generation. Same way, this recessive allele does not express its trait in the presence of the alternative allele. Okay, so this one is recessive and this one is dominant. Okay, so recessive means it is an allele which is not expressed in presence of alternative allele, that is in the heterozygous condition. So out of these two, this will not express in presence of this one. It means that this recessive will not express in presence of the dominant one. That's why this small t is a recessive one and this one is dominant over this recessive t. So this is simply regarding the dominant and the recessive. Now just move towards the phenotype. It is an external appearance. This is phenotype. You can see this phenotype. This is phenotype. This is tall and the dwarf. These are two phenotypes. Okay. So phenotype means it is an external appearance of an individual for any trait is called as phenotype. So this is external appearance, that is the tallness and the dwarfness. So this is simply regarding the phenotype. Now just move towards the genotype. Now the genotype is a representation of genetic makeup of an individual with respect to single character. uh, Tall can have a capital T and capital T, and the one more genetic makeup, that is this one, that is the capital T and the small t. So what is genotype actually? This is genotype. You can see the genotype in this monohybrid cross. So this is it is a representation of the genetic makeup simply of an individual with respect to a single character. So this tall plant can have a dominant T and the dominant T, but this one is homozygous while this one is heterozygous. This one heterozygous tall and this one is homozygous tall. Okay, so this tall plant can have two different types of combinations. One is pure tall and the other one is homozygous tall and the second one is heterozygous tall. So homozygous tall having capital T and the capital T, while the heterozygous tall having capital T and the small t. Let us see the homozygous condition. Condition, as I said earlier, one more definition is there, that is the homozygous condition. In homozygous condition, it is an individual. Let us see, this is homozygous and this one is also homozygous, but this one is dominant and this one is recessive. Okay, in so what is homozygous means it is an individual possessing similar alleles for a particular trait is called as homozygous. It is an individual possessing similar alleles for a particular trait. Now this trait is tallness. Now this tall plant is possessing these two capital T. These two capital T indicate this plant is homozygous tall. So it is an individual possessing similar alleles. This T is dominant and this one is also dominant. In case of this tall indicates one is tall, one is dominant T and the second one is recessive T. So this is not homozygous. This one is homozygous. Okay, this tall is homozygous while this one is heterozygous tall. This tall is homozygous tall and this one is heterozygous tall. Okay, so homozygous means it is an individual. This is an individual possessing similar alleles for a particular trait. Now this trait is tall. Now this individual possessing similar allele for this particular trait is called as a homozygous. Now the second one, one more term is there, that is the heterozygous. Now this heterozygous is totally opposite to homozygous. As I said earlier, heterozygous means it is an organism. It is an individual possessing dissimilar allele. It is an individual possessing dissimilar allele for a particular trait. Now this particular F1 generation plant is tall, but it is heterozygous tall because this plant possessing two different types of alleles. First one is dominant and the second one is recessive. It means that these two genes or the alleles are not similar alleles. These are different alleles. So this one is called as recessive. This one is called as heterozygous. So heterozygous means it is an individual possessing dissimilar alleles is called as heterozygous. Okay, now just move towards the pure line. Pure line means it is an individual or a group of individuals that is homozygous true breeding for one or more characters. Okay, so this one is pure plant and this one is pure, but this one is dominant and this one is recessive. So they can breed purely and homozygous and true breeding for one or more characters. So this definition is uh, it is an individual or a group of individuals that is homozygous true breeding for one or more characters. Let us see one more thing, that is the hybrid. Now you can see this F1 plant is hybrid plant. So what is hybrid? Hybrid, it is a heterozygous individual. It is a heterozygous individual produced from any cross involving pure parents having one or more traits. It is, what is hybrid? Let us see hybrid. Hybrid, it is a heterozygous individual. This one is as I said earlier, it is heterozygous. This is not homozygous because this is possessing dissimilar alleles. So it is an heterozygous individual produced. This one is produced by or from any cross involving pure parents. Now this one is pure for tallness, this one is pure for darkness. So this plant is produced, F1 plant is produced by the crossing of two parents which are pure for that particular trait. So this one is pure for tallness and this one is pure for darkness. Now just move towards one more thing, one more terminology, that is the monohybrid. This is, as I said earlier, this is monohybrid cross or the monohybrid. Monohybrid means it is a heterozygous monohybrid. That is, the hybrid tall plant is produced. This one is hybrid tall plant is produced in a cross between the pure tall and the pure dark. This tall plant is produced in a cross between the pure tall. This is pure tall and this is pure dark. So this tall plant is produced by a crossing between the tall and the dark plant, which is called as a monohybrid. Let us see one more thing, that is the yeah, homologous chromosomes. Yes, homologous chromosomes. They are morphologically and structurally similar chromosomes present in a diploid cell is called as homologous chromosome. So these chromosomes are structurally and morphologically similar. Okay, and these chromosomes are present in the diploid cell. So these chromosomes are called as homologous chromosomes. Let us move towards the one more thing. that is the monohybrid cross. Monohybrid cross, it is a cross. Let us see one more. Let us see again this example, that is monohybrid cross. Monohybrid cross. It is a cross between the, what is monohybrid cross? It is a cross between the two pure parents. This is pure for tallness, this is pure for the darkness. So it is a cross between two pure parents differing. These two parents are differing in a single pair of contrasting character. So these are differing from each other in a single pair of contrasting character. Okay, so this is called as a monohybrid cross. Let us move towards the most important thing, that is the monohybrid and the dihybrid. Let us see first one, that is the monohybrid. So in Mendel's experiment, Mendel crossed a tall plant against a tall plant, and this tall plant having the genotype, that is the dominant T and the dominant T. Then the second one, that is the dwarf plant having the genotype, that is small t and the small t, or the recessive T and the recessive T. Then the gametes which are produced would be the T and the T in case of this dwarf, and this dominant T in case of this tall plant. Then the after fusion, the F1 plant will be the, or the first filial generation will be a tall plant, but this plant is not pure plant, because this is heterozygous. This is not homozygous, because this plant possessing, okay, in this cross, the F1 generation plants, all F1 generation plants are tall. Okay, after selfing, after selfing in the F1 generation, the ratio, phenotypic ratio, the phenotypic ratio is, yes, in F2 generation, the phenotypic ratio is 3 as to 1, that is the tall 3 plants and 1 dwarf plant. While the genotypic ratio is 1 tall plant, pure tall plant, then the 2 plants are heterozygous tall and 1 plant is dwarf. Okay, so the F2, in F2 generation, the genotypic ratio is 1 as to 2 as to 1, while the phenotypic ratio is 3 as to 1 of the monohybrid cross of Mendel. Let us move to the dihybrid cross of the Mendel. In this cross, Mendel considered simultaneously two, at a time, Mendel considered two characters, that is round and the yellow seeds. Okay, so Mendel crossed round seed producing, yellow colored seed producing plant against a wrinkled green seed producing plant. Then this particular phenotype having genotype, that is dominant R, dominant Y and the dominant Y. This is genotype of the round and yellow seeds. This is genotype of the wrinkled green seeds. Then the gametes are produced like this. In this dihybrid cross, gametes produced would be the R, dominant R and the dominant Y. And in case of this wrinkled green seeds, the gametes would be R, recessive R and the recessive Y. Okay, when these two gametes fuses with this one, sorry, this when this gamete fuses with this gamete, the F1 generation will be the round yellow colored seed producing plant. Okay, after selfing, you can see, after selfing, you can see these are paternal gametes and these are maternal gametes. Then this is first combination, second combination in the Punnett square. This is third one, fourth one, sixth one. So there are total 16 combinations. Now just see, this plant will be yellow round. This will be the yellow round. This will yellow round. This will be yellow round. This will be yellow round. This will be the green round. Yes, in this way, the phenotypic ratio is 9:2, 3:2, 3:2, 1, while the genotypic ratio of the monohybrid, sorry, dihybrid cross of the Mendel is 1:2, 2:2, 2:2, 4:2, 1:2, 2:2, 1:2, 2:2, 1. I repeat, 1:2, 2:2, 2:2, 4:2, 1:2, 2:2, 1:2, 2:2, 1. Total 16 combinations are there in the F2 generation of the dihybrid cross of the Mendel.